The void was silent. No stars, no light. Only darkness stretched in every direction. The scout ship Velaru drifted slowly near the border of the Forbidden Zone. Its silver hull reflected nothing, as if space itself had swallowed all color. Captain. Threx of the Zarnok Empire stood near the observation window, staring into the black dot. No one had crossed this part of the galaxy for 50,000 years. Even the bravest species avoided it. They called it human space. Captain Threx knew the stories. Ancient tales told in whispers. Stories about a race that once ruled the stars, fought entire coalitions, and then ... vanished. Some said the humans destroyed themselves. Others believed they still lived deep inside the dark zone, watching. Waiting. Signal check, Threx ordered. His second officer, Krint, responded. No signals from within the zone. No communication. No energy signatures. It's just ... dead. Threx frowned. Good. That means no one will bother us while we explore. The crew was small. Only 12 Zarnak soldiers, trained for stealth, equipped with the best tech. Velaru had orders. Gather data, find ruins, test. The zone Threx wasn't afraid. Not really. He believed humans were just a myth. No one lives 50,000 years in silence. No species hides that long. Still, the silence made him uneasy. As they moved deeper, their instruments began to fail. First, the long-range scanners went blind. Then, the gravity sensors stopped reporting. Finally, the autopilot stopped working. Switch to manual, Threx said. Krint's voice shook. Mitt, it's like the ship doesn't know where it is. Any more explain? The navigation system can't find any stars? It's like ... we're not in the galaxy anymore. Threx turned from the window. That's not possible. But something was wrong. Deeply wrong. They had crossed only a few hundred. 1,000 kilometers into the Forbidden Zone. Yet already the laws of space seemed to break down. Then the lights dimmed. Power drain detected, the engineer called from below deck, but no source. It's like the ship is being ... watched. Watched. Threx didn't like that word. Activate. Full shield, he barked. And no one says that word again? The crew went silent. Every officer looked tense. Even the hardened Zarnak warriors felt it, the weight of something invisible pressing against the ship. Then came the sound. It wasn't through the speakers. It wasn't mechanical. It was inside their heads. A whisper, soft, cold, endless. Do not enter human space. Krint grabbed his head. Did anyone else hear that? Every crew member nodded slowly. Sound alert systems offline, the engineer added. This wasn't from our equipment. They had all heard the same thing. At the same time, no translation needed. Just one phrase, clear as thought, do not enter human space. Begin retreat, Threx said. Now, they turned the ship around. Or tried to. The engines didn't respond. The ship floated, spinning slightly. Manual override failed, the pilot said. Controls are frozen. Outside the window, a single dot of red light appeared. Not a star, not a ship, just a red point in. The dark it pulsed, once, twice, 3 times, and then it vanished. Target it, Threx shouted, but there was nothing to lock onto. Another light appeared, this time to the left, then one above, and dozens, tiny red dots blinking in and out of sight like eyes. Watching, the crew began to panic. We're surrounded. I know. Weapons detected, but they're everywhere. Threx slammed his fist on the console. Hold your positions, we are Zarnok. We do not fear. But inside he was shaking. The whispers returned. Stronger now. You were warned. And then darkness, the ship's lights died. Total black, every system turned off, even the air recycling. One by one, the crew began to vanish. No screams. No blood, just ... gone. One moment they were there. It's the next empty space where a body had stood. Threx could not move. He tried, but his limbs felt heavy. Karen floated beside him, frozen in fear. What is this? Then he, too, disappeared. Threx was alone. The ship floated in darkness. Only one sound now, not a whisper, a low hum, mechanical, deep, and a voice. like thunder inside his skull. "We remember you." Threk screamed, but no sound came out. His vision blurred. He saw a flash-an image burned into his mind. A planet blue and green, a human face, old and wise. Looking back at him, and then he was gone. Far away, on the edge of alien-controlled space. The Council of Ten watched the live feed from the Velaroo. Then the screen turned black. No signal. No crew. Just static. Ambassador Viral stood slowly from her seat. "We lost another one," she said softly. General Run of the Zalorian Guard clenched. His jaw? "That's the 5th ship this decade." Silence fell in the chamber. Then an old voice spoke from the shadows. "They are still there." The council turned. A tall, thin figure stepped into the light. His skin was scarred, metal implants across his face. It was Commander Vess, the last living alien who fought the humans during the Great War 50,000 years ago. "They are not gone," Vess said. "They are not dead. They simply chose silence." "But why?" someone asked. Vess looked at the screen, still filled with static. "Because we were not ready. Because we feared them. And because they gave us a choice, peace or silence. And we chose silence?" "No," Vess whispered. "They did, to protect us from ourselves." A long pause followed. Someone at the table finally asked, "So what do we do now?" Vess turned to face them all. "Nothing. You do nothing. You do not send ships. You do not scan. You do not enter. And if someone else does?" Vess shook his head. "Then they will not return." Far beyond, in the heart of the Forbidden Zone, deep beneath a dead star, something ancient opened its eyes. Metal moved. Power, HUMMED. 1,000 machines woke, and in the deepest chamber, a human voice echoed through cold steel halls. "Protocol. Watchtower reactivated. Alien incursion detected. Observation ends. Phase 1, begin." Human space had stirred, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The stars above the council hall shimmered behind the wide glass dome. Thousands of alien leaders watched the silent display at the center of the room. Static, fuzzy images. Broken signals from the missing scout ship, Velaroo. Then darkness, no. One spoke. Not even the generals. The room was cold, heavy. Only one being broke the silence. General Vess. He was old. The oldest creature in the room. Metal bones. Cybernetic eyes. Scars across his face from a war most had only read about in history data. He stood slowly and leaned forward on the table. "You called them myths," he said quietly. "But I remember them. I fought them." Everyone turned. 50,000 years ago," he said, "our races united against a common threat. A race we couldn't understand. Species too advanced, too fast, too dangerous." He paused. "We called them... humans." There were murmurs across the room. "Your mind plays tricks," said a young diplomat. "There is no record of them." "Ever existing?" Vess narrowed his cybernetic eye. "You deleted the records. You erased the fear. But why?" asked someone. Vess turned to the display. A single red light blinked. "The last data from the Velaroo. I'll show you." Inserted a chip into the terminal. The lights dimmed. The room filled with images blurry and old, but terrifying. The first image, a planet exploding, torn in two by a beam of pure energy. The second, 10 fleets from 10 different species, floating in space, burned, dead, their ships still on fire. The third, a human ship. It wasn't big. It wasn't shiny. It was silent. Black hole. No markings. No sound. And it moved faster than anything anyone had seen before. "We attacked them first," Vess said. "They sent messages. Warnings. They told us to stay away. We didn't listen," he continued. "We thought they were weak. They weren't." The final image, a battlefield in orbit around a gas giant. Alien ships scattered like dust. Only one survivor, Vess. "I was there," he whispered. "I watched them fight. I watched how they moved. No fear, no emotion, only focus." He paused again. "We had united 300 species, millions of ships, hundreds of worlds, and we still lost. Someone stood. Then how did the war end? Looked at them, tired. They stopped. What do you mean? They didn't conquer us, didn't chase us. They just ... stopped. One day, every human ship disappeared. Every signal went silent, every border closed, and they were gone. They went silent, Vess said, not because they lost, but because they chose peace. Peace. 1. Ambassador laughed. That's not peace. That's fear, Vess said. But it worked. He stepped forward and looked around the room. You think they're monsters? But they're not. They're protectors. Or they were. Protectors of what? Of the galaxy. From itself. He tapped the display. This ... this is your fault, the council gasped. You sent the scout ship into human space. After 50,000 years, you broke the silence. He turned again, and now it will return. Far away, on a hidden moon orbiting a dead star, something moved. A chamber opened deep underground. Inside, thousands of machines awoke. Silent sentinels made of dark metal. Lights turned on. A figure stepped out from a sealed pod. A human, his eyes opened slowly. He looked around. No panic, no confusion, just awareness. He walked to a console and placed his hand on it. The machine spoke. Commander Rourke, status active. Sleep time, 50,002 years. He nodded once. Status update, he said. Display lit up. Alien activity detected inside Forbidden Zone. Observation program terminated. Response protocol enabled. He looked at the stars above. They broke the rule. He reached forward and pressed a button. Message sent to Earth, to the last human world. Back in council space, ships began to vanish. One by one, no wreckage, no distress. Calls just gone. An empire sent a fleet to investigate. None returned. Some species began to panic. Others denied what was happening, but all of them remembered. The one message that kept repeating through every frequency. A voice, calm, human. You were warned. And in the old ruins of the last human battlefield, something massive moved in the darkness. Beneath the planet's crust, a machine the size of a moon woke from sleep. Engines powered up, weapons calibrated, and across 1,000 dead satellites. One signal flashed. Phase 1, containment. The galaxy had broken the silence, and now the humans were listening again. The stars blinked softly above planet XR91. It looked like a ghost world. No signals, no ships, no life, just silence. But deep underground, something waited. The research vessel Elinder entered orbit slowly. It belonged to the Kaleri, a curious species known for one thing: they never believed in myths. Their scientists wanted proof, data, and now it found something impossible: an old human world. Commander Liren stood at the edge of the landing platform, staring at the gray planet. Below, her eyes were sharp. Her skin shimmered with a green-blue tone. Looks dead, her second officer muttered. Or it's hiding, Liren replied. They had landed on a flat plain filled with ruined stall metal towers, broken streets. Strange. Symbols on the walls. Everything was still and cold. No wind. No birds. No sound. Just the quiet of a place untouched for thousands of years. I thought humans were extinct, a technician said. They are, Liren answered. Then what is this place? She didn't answer. She didn't know. As they explored deeper into the city, strange things began to happen. First, their scanners stopped working. Then, their maps went blank. And then, they heard it. A soft sound, like a song, humming in the distance. It came from under the city. Liren followed the sound down a long staircase inside a broken tower. At the bottom, there was a door. Perfectly clean, not rusted, not broken. It had just been made. A message blinked above it in red text. Authorized human entry only. She touched the panel, scanned her, then it spoke. Species, Kaleri. Clearance denied. The door didn't open, but the humming stopped, and the silence returned. Suddenly, one of the soldiers screamed through the comms commander. Gone. Talix just vanished. They ran back, but the soldier was missing. No blood, no body. Just his weapon left on the ground. Then another scream, and another panic spread. 3 more soldiers disappeared within seconds. No trace, just one word. Began to appear on all their helmets. Leave. Commander Liren ordered a retreat, but the ship didn't answer. Ellender was offline. No power. No signal. No backup system, the engineer said. It's like something shut us down remotely. The survivors gathered near the ruins' weapons. Ready, breathing hard. Then everything went quiet again, and a voice spoke. Not through radios, not through speakers. Directly inside their minds. You were not invited. Liren fell to her knees. Her vision spun. A flood of images crashed into her brain. Earth, glowing blue. Massive ships floating above alien fleets. Cities of light built into the stars. And finally, war. A war so brutal it made her heart race. She saw human soldiers with eyes like fire. It's not angry. It's not evil. Just ... Unstoppable. And then it ended. With silence. She woke up screaming. The rest of her team was unconscious. All except one. The youngest scientist. Darrow was standing near a strange black console. He was touching it. Darrow. Stop. He didn't listen. The machine turned on. A glowing sphere rose into the air. It showed stars, but not the current galaxy. A map of the universe from 50,000 years ago. Lines crossed the stars, marking territories. At the center, a circle glowed. Bright blue. Human space. Then it changed. A countdown began. Phase 2. Activation. Lire. And pulled Darrow away. But the damage was done. The console sent a signal far beyond the galaxy. The voice returned. You were warned. You entered forbidden ground. Response initiated. Suddenly the ruins began to move. Walls lifted. Towers hummed. Lights turned on for the first time in 50,000 years. This planet wasn't a ruin. It was a sensor. A trap. A warning system. And they had triggered it. Liren grabbed what was left of her team. They ran to the ship. Forcing power through emergency cells, the engines barely came online. But just enough, they escaped orbit behind them. The entire planet glowed red. A signal spread through the stars, far away in a dark part of the galaxy. A massive structure opened its eyes. It wasn't alive, but it was aware, built by humans. Built for this moment, it had waited, and now it acted. 10 relay. Beacons reactivated. Data poured into Earth's hidden core, in a room deep under the surface of a silent Earth-like world. Commander Rourke looked up. The lights above him turned red. A message appeared on the wall. Forbidden planet breached. He stared at it in silence, then turned to his officers. All right, he said calmly. Time to wake the others. Back in council space, the Kaleri ship Ellender returned. Only 2 crew members were still alive. They were silent, their eyes ... distant. When the doctors scanned their brains, they found something strange. A new frequency. Something was whispering. Inside their minds, one word, repeating again and again. Awakening. A small moon floated quietly in the black. It was hidden behind rings of ice and gas, orbiting a cold planet no one visited anymore. Even maps from 10,000 years ago marked it as Dead Zone 47. But inside the moon, something still breathed. Not alive like an animal, but not entirely machine. Either inside the core, deep beneath rock and metal, a system flickered. One signal, one command, one alert. Protocol watchtower activated. Salvage ship Draken. Dropped from hyperspace near the moon. Captain Solas, a traitor from the Vulcan species, grinned as he looked at the gray rock through the window. Easy credits, he said. Just another old ruin. The crew of 5 prepared to land. No one asked where the coordinates had come from. Some anonymous buyer wanted them to retrieve tech from the surface. Old junk, maybe valuable. As they landed, one of the crew scanned. The surface, no signs of life, not even energy. It's cold. Solas nodded. Perfect. But as they stepped onto the rocky ground, something felt wrong. No wind, no sound. The air felt. It's heavy, like the moon itself was watching. They reached an entrance buried in ice. Metal doors. Ancient human writing burned into the frame. Outpost. R213. Property of Earth Command. Still intact, said one of the crew. Looks military. They pried the doors open with force cutters, and what they found inside was not ruins. It was a fully preserved base. Perfect walls, shiny floors, lights that still worked. And in the middle of the control room, a cryopod still active, still running. Inside a human. He looked no older than 40. Worn face, black stubble, muscular, his eyes closed, breathing slow. Captain Solas stepped back. No way, that can't be real. It is, whispered his engineer. Cryostasis, ancient tech. But he's still alive. Machine voice echoed. In the room, Commander Rourke. Status stable. Awaiting clearance to wake. Solas stared at the name, Commander Rourke. He had heard that name once. A story from a history file. Name that meant war. But it was just a story, right? The crew argued. Some wanted to leave. Others wanted to sell the body. Solas made the mistake. He touched the console. Wake sequence initiated. The room went. Silent, the pod hissed. Steam filled the air, and then he opened his eyes. Not confused, not afraid, just aware. Commander Rourke stepped out slowly. He looked at the aliens around him. Who are you? He asked. Solas raised a hand. We're just salvagers. We didn't know you're not supposed to be here, Rourke interrupted. Calm, cold, focused. This zone is restricted. One of the crew stepped forward, scanning him. How long have you been asleep? Rourke looked at that. Time counter on the wall. 50,000 years. No one spoke. How are you still alive? One whispered. I was waiting for what? He turned toward the window. For the moment, someone broke the rules. He walked to a console and placed his hand on it. The room changed. Screens turned on. Maps lit up. Alerts blinked red across the stars. Unauthorized alien activity detected. In multiple sectors, the system said. Rourke turned to them again. You woke up something much bigger than me. Solas stepped back. We didn't mean to. It doesn't matter. You going to kill us? No, Rourke said. You're going to tell the galaxy we're awake? Minutes later, the crew was allowed to leave. They ran back to their ship, shaking, confused, terrified. The Draken jumped to hyperspace. The message they carried spread. Like wildfire, human commander found alive. Meanwhile, on Earth, hidden beneath layers of defense, massive doors opened. More cryopods. Hundreds, then thousands. One by one, the old commanders, captains, scientists, engineers all began to rise. They said nothing. They simply walked to their stations. They already knew what to do. Commander Rourke stood in front of a screen showing the galaxy. A red light blinked on every human border. A voice spoke behind him. A woman. Sharp eyes. Clean uniform. Do we engage? Rourke stared at the galaxy for a long moment, then gave the order, begin slow return. No weapons, no threats, just presence. But what if they attack us? He smiled. They won't. Across the galaxy, alien sensors detected movement. Human. Ships, big ones. But they didn't fire. They didn't even speak. They simply appeared one by one, not ancient border points, floating like silent giants, waiting, watching, reminding the universe. Humanity never left. And now they were back. The Zellery war fleet moved like a tidal wave. Over 600 ships, carriers, dreadnoughts, destroyers, fighters, each one built from the best technology in the galaxy. They had conquered 3 sectors in 2 years. Now, their sights were set on the U.S. Edge of human space. Admiral Krill, leader of the Zelari, stood proudly at the center of his flagship Bloodspire. His voice echoed through the bridge. They hide in silence for 50,000 years. No activity, no empire, no threat. Now they return, but we strike first. The crew cheered, confident, arrogant. They had never seen humans. They had only heard the stories, ghosts, warnings, old voices from a forgotten war. But Krill didn't believe in ghosts. They are just remnants, he said. Ruins held together by old pride. 20 light minutes ahead, a single ship waited. In the void, no weapons active, no shields up, no name on the hull, black, silent. It did not move. It did not broadcast. It just existed. The Zelari fleet approached it with caution. Scan it, Krill ordered. The scans returned -nothing. No power source, no heat, no crew detected. Is it dead? His officer asked. Doesn't matter, Krill said. Destroy it. Show. The galaxy. What happens when shadows challenge light? 10 Zelari cruisers locked weapons, charged, and fired. Hundreds of missiles, beams and plasma rounds flew through space and passed straight through the human ship. No explosion, no resistance, just phasing through it like mist. What? Sir, the readings just vanished suddenly. The human ship flickered. One moment, it was far. The next it was right next to them. Every ship in Krill's fleet received a signal, not a message. A presence inside every mind. A voice spoke. In perfect clarity. Observation complete. Threat detected. Containment protocol now active. The human ship unfolded. Not exploded, unfolded. Its surface opened in strange geometric patterns. Beams of soft blue light reached out not to attack but to disabled. Weapons on the Zelari, ships shut down, engines froze, shields collapsed. Each system went dark one by one. Panic filled the comms. Shields offline, engine control lost. We're locked out completely. Admiral Krill screamed orders, but nothing worked. The black human ship floated quietly through the frozen fleet, not attacking, just disabling every ship, one by one. In the capital system of the Council of 10 Galaxies, an emergency meeting was called. Dozens of ambassadors watched the live footage in horror. The Zelari fleet, the biggest armada since the Great War, was rendered useless by one human ship. And then, dozens more appeared, each at a key star. System, each one silent, each one calm. They weren't here to fight. They were here to remind the galaxy. Humanity is awake. Commander Rourke stood aboard the Vigilance, orbiting Earth behind him. Thousands of systems lit up as human ships returned to duty at AI mines. Defense satellites, deep space beacons, ghost stations that had floated empty for millennia now glowed with purpose. He turned to his officers. Report. Zelari fleet disabled. 0 deaths. Systems neutralized. Message delivered. Status of other fleets. Galari Empire pulled back. Drelk sent a surrender signal. Darnik Syndicate went dark. Good any aggression toward us. All ships are standing down. But it wasn't over. The fear was spreading. Not because humanity had attacked, but because they didn't. On the far edge of the galaxy, a small pirate alliance tried to test the new human presence. They sent 20 cloaked ships toward a human outpost. They expected easy loot. They expected overconfidence. But the moment they crossed the invisible boundary, they vanished. No explosion, no signals, just silence. When search ships were sent later, they found only one thing: a floating drone with 4 words carved into its surface. Entry denied. Return home. Back on Earth, the true scale of human. Return began. Cryostations reopened. Science cores restored. Fleet docks reactivated. Millions of humans, asleep for 50,000 years, returned to life. But this wasn't an army. This was a civilization, reborn. Humans weren't coming back to rule. They were returning to watch, to ensure no one made the same mistakes, to hold the line between order and chaos, and to protect the stars from another war, in a hidden vault beneath Antarctica. A machine blinked on. It held the complete memory of the last war. It spoke once every cycle. Now. For the first time in 50,000 years, it said something new. Galactic balance breached. Human re-engagement successful. Phase 2 complete. Monitoring begins. But some species couldn't handle it. In a temple of the Eldari, psychic species, their high seer collapsed. When asked what she saw in her vision, she whispered, "They are not what we thought. They are not destroyers. They are what we will all become if we survive ourselves." And far away, beyond known space, a shadow watched the galaxy tremble. It was not human. It had waited hiding, growing because it had once fought the humans and lost it. Now whispered to itself in fear, "They have returned, and I am not ready." Humanity was not back for war. Not yet. They were back for balance. But the galaxy didn't know how to live under human balance. They only remembered fear, and they would learn again. Slowly, why no one dared enter human space. Not then. Not now. Not ever. The vault door hissed open with a low, bone-deep rumble. Dr. Inali Vroshead, scientist of the Terkar Genetic Institute, stepped into the hidden chamber, her heart pounding. No one had entered this place for over 30,000 years, not since the Treaty of Silence was signed. Behind her followed a small team of researchers and guards. But even they didn't know what they were walking into. Inali had discovered something terrifying. Buried deep in ancient council archives, a forgotten file, marked only with 3 human words, Project Last Light. 5 to 7 minute hook suspense builds, weeks earlier. After the silent appearance of human dreadnoughts across council borders, Inali had begun to search for answers, not in weapons, not in war records, but in biology. What she found made her freeze. Humans hadn't disappeared. They had engineered it. They'd used genetic tech so advanced. It felt like magic so subtle that even now, scanners couldn't detect it. The project had one goal: to ensure peace through fear, biology, and inevitability. Inside the chamber, cryotanks lined the walls. Hundreds of them. Inside each tank was a humanoid figure. Some female, some not fully human anymore. Their eyes were closed, but their presence was unbearable. "Who are they?" Assistant whispered. Inali replied quietly, "They're not soldiers." "Then what are they?" She stepped closer to a tank labeled Unito 13, the listener. A human-like figure floated inside, body calm, head tilted. Scars marked its skin. But it wasn't broken. It looked peaceful, but her heart screamed danger. She accessed the terminal. Next to the tank, the data downloaded into her wristpad. Project Last Light. Overview. Created after the Great War. Purpose: to enforce galactic peace, using preemptive empathy, memory, manipulation, and neural broadcasting. Units: 1,000 plus genetically tailored peacekeepers with the ability to read hostility in the minds of others. Disable violent intent using broadcasted brainwave suppression. Plant echoes of war memory into other species' minds. Spread calm or madness, depending on resistance. Inali froze. "This is why no one attacked them again," she whispered. "They didn't need to threaten the galaxy. They planted fear in our DNA." Her assistant shook. "Wait, are you saying?" Inali said slowly. "The fear, the nightmares our people have of humans? They're not myths. They're memories." Flashback 50,000 years ago, humans stood on a battlefield surrounded by alien prisoners of war. But instead of killing them, they touched their foreheads. A soft light spread from their hands. The prisoners fell, unconscious. When they woke, never fought again. Instead, they preached peace, begged their people to stand down. Some even forgot why the war had started. Humanity didn't win by crushing the galaxy, they won by rewriting it. Back in the chamber, one of the tanks beeped. Movement. Detected, a guard said. Which one? Unito 1-3. The listener opened its eyes. Bright silver, peaceful, deadly, everyone. Stepped back, but it didn't move. Instead, the voice came. Not spoken, not heard, felt. You are scared. That is good. Fear leads to caution. Caution leads to peace. That was our purpose. And Nellie gasped. You're awake? I never slept. I waited. What are you? I am memory. I am the part of humanity you buried because it scared you. But I do not kill. I only help you remember what happens. When peace is broken, guards raised weapons. Unito 1-3 didn't flinch. Their eyes rolled back, screaming. One dropped, another collapsed. Then silence. All of them were still breathing, but motionless. Are they dead? Inali asked, trembling. No, I showed them the future. The one without us. She realized the truth. The listener didn't use weapons, it used understanding. It showed you the war before it happened and made you fear it so deeply. You surrendered later. Inali returned to council headquarters. She stood in front of the 10 leaders. She played the memory logs. She showed them the truth. The room fell into silent chaos. Are you saying they didn't win the war? No, she said. They won before the war even began. They prepared for it thousands of years earlier. But how? 'Cause they knew, she said. The technology could be matched. But memory could not. Spread across the galaxy, something worse followed. Every major planet reported a sudden outbreak of shared dreams. People across species saw the same vision at the same hour, a human face, a destroyed world. The voice saying, you broke the silence, you woke the memory. Choose again, or remember everything. Entire populations fell to their knees. Some tried to run, others began chanting human phrases they didn't understand, as if the memory was already inside them, in the hidden systems of Earth. Rourke watched the chaos unfold. He didn't smile, he didn't speak, he simply watched. His AI spoke softly. Project Last Light has awakened. No resistance so far. Phase 3 is ready when you are. Rourke responded quietly. Not yet. They still have time to understand. What if they don't? He looked into the stars. Then they'll remember what we really are. And somewhere deep in council space, a child asked his elder, why does everyone fear humans if they've never attacked us? The elder, with eyes wide in fear, whispered, because they showed us a war we never fought. But we all remember losing it. For 50,000 years, Earth had been silent. No signals, no ships, no answers. Even the bravest explorers never dared to approach. Some said Earth had been destroyed. Others believed it was hidden, sealed away by the very humans who once ruled the stars. But now, after the return of their fleets, after the reactivation of watchtowers and memory units, the galaxy began to ask one forbidden question again. What lies on Earth now? And some couldn't resist the answer. The hook 5 to 7 minutes suspenseful opening on the bridge of the stealth cruiser Varco's Hand. Captain Tilvar of the Drexery Dominion watched the dead blue sphere slowly grow larger on the screen. Earth, she had disobeyed orders. The Council of 10 had forbidden any approach toward the human homeworld. Even after the recent reactivation of human systems, they voted to wait, observe, and avoid provocation. But Tilvar was tired of waiting. We've seen what their ships can do, she said to her crew. But a planet doesn't fly. We can scan it. We can learn its weakness. Her first officer shifted nervously. Commander, what if the planet is alive? Tilvar snorted. Planets don't come alive. And if it is, then let it see us. She wasn't ready for what came next. Echoes from the pastas, the ship reached lunar orbit. Every system on board began to flicker. Lights dimmed. Gravity shifted. The crew began to hear strange whispers. Not on the comms. You are not ready to return. You have not earned the memory. The stars outside flickered. Not like light, but like a ripple in time. Earth didn't just sit in space. It bent it. The ship's instruments glitched, the surface of the earth blurred, shifting between what looked like forests, oceans, then metal, then ancient cities, then nothing. Every second, the planet showed something different. It wasn't just a world anymore. It was a recording, a living archive of everything humanity once was. Captain Tilvar ordered deep scans, but the scan data didn't return numbers or maps. Instead, the entire crew began to see memories not their own. Walking as a child along a river under two moons, holding a weapon as a world burned behind them, flying a ship that could cross galaxies in seconds, dying and coming back, and dying again. Each memory clearer than the last. Abort, the first officer shouted. Shut the scanners off. But it was too late. The ship was now part of the memory loop. Back on the Council homeworld, reports came in from deep space probes near. Every drone sent toward the blue planet disappeared. No debris, no signal, just gone. Counselor Marin stood before the Council, pale and shaken. "We don't understand what Earth has become," he said. "It's not just a world. It's a message, a machine, a trap. Maybe all three." He looked up, and we think, speaking to all of us. Inside the human core network, in the deepest chambers of Earth, surrounded by living metal, Commander Rourke stood with his hands behind his back. Around him, echoes of Earth's past shimmered in light. The ancient wars, the golden cities, the last goodbye before the great silence. A voice spoke beside him. It was not. It was human, old, wise. "Female, should we reveal the truth to them?" Rourke was quiet, then he answered, "Not yet. They still believe Earth is just a memory," a voice replied. "But Earth is no longer just a planet." Rourke nodded slowly. "It is us. What Earth has become thousands of years ago, when humanity realized that the galaxy could never truly be at peace, they decided to change, not by ruling, not by destroying, but by evolving. They left Earth behind. But not really. They merged with it. The forests, the oceans, the machines, the code, the mind, the emotion. Everything became part of Earth now. Earth was not a world. It was a living archive of the human species, one that remembered everything, one that could project memory, speak through thought, shift reality through time-wrapped fields, and one that could protect itself. The end of Tilvar's mission back aboard Varco's hand. Captain Tilvar fell to her knees. She was no longer on her ship. In her mind, she stood on a battlefield, surrounded by fire. Humans marched past her, silent calm. She turned. Earth rose behind them like a god. She saw herself on the ground, older, crying, and one of the humans knelt beside her. It was her, but different. Smiling, peaceful. The vision spoke. "You are not our enemy. You are your own. When you're ready to change, Earth will welcome you. Until then, remember what you saw." Tilvar woke up on her ship alone. Everyone else was gone, just gone, and across the galaxy. Earth began to broadcast again, not with threats, not with orders, just a voice, echoing through every frequency, into every species, into every mind. "We are humanity. We remember everything. Are not gods. We are not demons. We are a mirror. Look into a sand. See what you could become." Some wept. Some ran. Some tried to fight, but all felt it. The memory, the weight of Earth, and the truth that echoed in every heart. Humanity didn't disappear. It just became something the galaxy couldn't understand until now. The galaxy had stopped moving. Ships were frozen in orbits. Worlds sat in silence. War councils, governments, kings, and empires all paused, because something had happened that no one could explain. Earth had spoken, not with weapons, not with threats, but with memory. Every species, every mind, every heart had felt the same thing. A quiet question. What do you choose? It wasn't forced. It wasn't loud. but it echoed deeper than any command ever had. Opening. Suspense. Hook 5 to 7 minutes on the mountain world of Kalen 4. Grand War Speaker Loth stood before 10,000 troops. For 3 generations, his people had prepared for the day humans returned. Their history books called humans the final enemy. Now, the final enemy had reappeared, but no attack came, no bombs, no invasions, just dream. Every soldier had seen the same thing while they slept, a burning planet, a shattered galaxy, and one human standing alone, offering their hand. Loth raised his voice to the army. "They are trying to confuse us," he said, but his own hands were shaking. Across the galaxy, the Council of 10 station, orbiting the star, Denava Chaos, had become silence. Leaders argued for days. Some wanted war. Some wanted surrender. But now, no one spoke, because a human ship had appeared in orbit. Not a warship, a vessel of light golden. It's quiet, with no weapons. It didn't fire. It just waited then. A signal came through, a human voice, soft, calm, young. "We are not your rulers. We are not your gods. We only offer the same thing we always have, a choice." And then, Earth spoke again, not in words, in visions. Each leader saw something different. A world healed by cooperation, a future without war. Species living among humans, learning, growing. But the future split into 2 paths. One led to unity, the other. 2 ashes and Earth spoke. "Your future is your own. Choose peace, walk with us. Choose war and face what you already know." Back on Earth, Commander Rourke stood atop the steps of a ruined cathedral, now restored by nanites. Around him, human soldiers in white. Armor stood silently. Not one of them held a weapon. Not one raised a voice. They waited. Humanity had already fought its wars. This was not a fight. This was a final offer. Elsewhere, splitting points, some species chose violence. The Galax Enclave launched 3 full fleets toward the Sol system. 10,000 ships, millions of weapons. They sent a single message: "We choose fear. We choose survival. We choose to remove you." But as they reached the outer boundary of human space, they disappeared. No explosions, no battles. Just gone. Their final recording played back across open channels, screaming, blinding light. And a voice not angry, but tired. "You made your choice. You chose what we tried to avoid." But many chose Peace the Kaleri, a proud empire of engineers. Deactivated their military. They opened their archives. They sent their ambassadors to human stations. With one message: "We're ready to listen." In response, Earth opened the vaults. Places. Across the galaxy that held ancient human knowledge sealed for millennia, not weapons. Ideas, cures for diseases, blueprints for free. Energy architectures for cities that never decay. Maps to planets untouched by war. They gave and asked for nothing in return. The final transmission, the last message Earth broadcasted, was simple. It went to every ship, every station, every planet. A voice calm, collective, unmistakably. "Human, for 50,000 years, we waited. Not to return in conquest, but to return as memory. We have changed. And we offer you the chance to change too. Walk beside us, or walk alone. We will not stop you, but we will never let you bring darkness." Again, and then, Earth went silent again. The ships remained in their orbits. The beacons stayed lit. The watchtowers kept watching, but no new orders came. Earth had given its final message now. It waited. Epilogue: generations later, a child of the Varnari people sat beneath a learning tree. His teacher, an old woman with kind eyes, spoke softly. Once the stars burned with war, but then came the echo, and the humans walked once more. The boy raised his hand. "Did they conquer us? No. Did they save us? No," she smiled. "They let us save ourselves." In orbit above a peaceful planet, a single human ship floated quietly. Inside, a young human captain stood alone. He looked at the stars, whispered the words passed down for 50,000 years. We are not feared because we destroy. We are feared because we remember. We are remembered. Because we chose peace,